I speak the truth when I step in a room. Don't need an excuse. Know how I do, yeah. I be dropping gems, gem dropping gem dropping. I speak the truth when I step in a room. Don't need an excuse. Know how I do, yeah. I be dropping gems, gem dropping gem dropping with Caleb and Delon.
All right, welcome to the Gem Dropping Podcast, where it's our opinion, our platform, but your problem, because you're going to get this truth. Today, we have a very important guest today. I'm going to let him introduce himself. Actor, producer, writer, you name it, he does it. And pronounce your full name for us.
Bobby J. Coleman, stand-up comedian, retired stand-up comedian, actor, producer, a few things.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
So you grew up here?
Yeah, man, grew up in Kansas City, Missouri. We were talking just a minute ago. I was actually born on the Kansas side.
Dang, bro.
Crime died.
Yeah, but I was born on the Kansas side. So I was in between the two. Like I did a little middle school over in Kansas, a little high school. And then I was in Missouri because my grandmother lived over here. And I actually grew up like right around the corner from here, man. So I used to walk these streets as a kid, man. So it's pretty dope to...
How you looking at it now?
Where you come
Yes, man. It is amazing to ride down these streets and remember photographic memories of me walking through these areas and what it's become now, especially the area you in and how it's coming up and things like that. So, yeah, man, it's beautiful. And then to just be a part of like the city uprising and becoming in this next phase. It's amazing, man, and congrats to y'all, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Thanks for being a part of the show, for sure.
Man, for sure. So I wanted to ask one thing. So of course, you coming here now, what kind of reminds you of this area? Like, what was a key moment where you was like, I remember this happened here? And it could be crazy, it could be funny. You just know those memories pop up sometimes when you pass a certain spot, and that's like a key moment in your life that you'll never forget.
Right across the street used to be a grocery store right there. That used to be a grocery store, that building right there. Yeah. And I remember it was this dude, he was like shoplifting. He was a crackhead. He had on this trench coat. It was like a tan, dirty, dusty trench coat. And they stopped him at the door and all kind of meat fell out and stuff. And the dude took off running. They couldn't catch him.
Oh, that's Kansas City, boy.
Hey, that trench coat cape was flapping like a Superman cape, boy. It was gone. But I never remember that. And I used to see the dude around all the time, and it always popped in my head. But right across the street used to be a grocery store, man. Yeah, it was like Buy Right or something like that, I think.
Yeah, I know so much has changed down here.
Yeah.
But it's been for the good. And like I said, I think, man, you got in at a good time because they bringing a lot of stuff up around this area. One of the things I was going to ask is like, so what inspires your creativity? I mean, what inspires you to get into, comedy at a young age? What age did you get into comedy?
So if I want to say that probably around 6th grade, but it wasn't stand-up comedy because I didn't know what stand-up was. I just knew that I was a funny, goofy dude, prankster. Plus, even with me moving around as much as I did, I never went to the same school consecutively until sophomore year. So each year I was the new student. I always started late, school started, and 2 weeks later my mom moved or whatever. She was moving all over the place. So I had to be the comic relief guy, to let people know I was cool and goofy. So I would but I was more of a prankster back in the day. And I would do a lot of pranks and mess with people and stuff. And what happened is my first comedian I saw was Sinbad. He had a comedy special. And I remember watching it as a kid and I was in tears. I could not breathe because he was talking about his mama, like, saying he wants some McDonald's. He's like, I got some McDonald's at home or whatever. And he said she made that sandwich that had like the lettuce hanging off. And I was in tears because that was my mama, And so I started to see comedy in a format. Like you go on stage and you tell stories about life, and you exaggerate it a little bit, but you make it funny and relatable. So I used to just write little funny jokes here and there. But then what happened is snapping became a thing, like roasting Jonah, stuff like that. So there used to be a show called Uptown Comedy Club that would come on. And I was probably in like 6th or 7th grade when I would see it. It would come on TV. You know, things came on TV like satire stuff. It would come on like for 30 minutes and then you never saw it again and something else. And it was on cable. I think it might be HBO or something. And they was roasting on stage like Michael Blackson. These were early days. Yeah.
I thought it was just Friday.
No, man. Look up Uptown Comedy Club. Like, and you'll see how old it was. This was like 92, 93. Like, and you see comics, they was on, what's his name? I was just watching this movie earlier. He had the accident in New York, the semi-accident. Tracy Morgan, yeah. Yeah, he was on there, and he had a big stomach. He had his hat with the little propeller on the top, and he was get up there and roasting people. So roast was a thing, but you know, growing up, we used to roast in the hood, neighborhood and stuff. So schoolyard. So I was middle school, and I remember it was some kids that used to be good at roasting. You know, your mama so that's how it was back then. Your mama so fat, this, that. Your mama so that. And I remember watching that, and then I remember memorizing the jokes. And I was a new student, and the teacher went out, and they started slowly roasting in the class. And it was like, it was 7th grade in Allen. And I remember this girl named Trina, and then this white girl, I think her name was Samantha, then this dude named Eric Harris, and they were like good at this. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, they better not come from me, because I had some jokes ready. I had them ready. Yeah. And mind you, I haven't seen none of them since then, like since that school year. But I remember their names because they were good at roasting. And they came to me, hit me with a joke, and I fired back, boom, boom, boom. And then the crowd, the classroom was cracking up. Everybody was going crazy. Teacher rushing back in the room like, what's going on? And at that moment, I was like, I had some attention, you know, and I felt it. And I've been living off that high for so long because with stand-up, even through high school and then college, still never did stand-up. And then I went to school. I was Lincoln University. So I transferred to Lincoln University from Mizzou. And I was still that guy, like, you know, people coming on campus and we just roast people, you know, having fun. They got a bridge that goes from the library to the street. And I used to hang out on that bridge. I was skipping class and stuff just to hang out because people would crowd around. So when people knew me, they'd be like, oh, my cousin, he coming from Chicago. He enrolling. He about to get you. He funny. I meet their cousin. What's up? What's up? And then I talk about, man, you built like, you know, Esther Roll from Good Times. You know what I'm saying? Look at this dude back his neck, looking like a Star Crunch. You know, I used to just roast people. You know what I'm saying? So what happened is it was on campus, and it was like 2002, 2003, and there was a talent show, and somebody signed my name up on the thing. I remember walking through the student union. Yeah, I still don't know to this day. And it said comedy competition, and my name was up there. And I was like, And I remember I was by myself, walked through, seen it. I was like, well, let me inquire about this. So I talked to the activity board. They was like, yeah, we having a competition, and you can win $250. I was like, You know, I was a broke college student. I probably had $3 and nickels to my name. Yeah, I said, I'm going for it. So I went home, started writing jokes. And I remember the jokes I wrote too. Some of them, I don't remember all of them, but I remember some of the first jokes I wrote. And I went up there. It was 2 other guys that attempted it, and they did okay, but I went out and killed it. I murdered it.
How was that feeling of just killing a crowd or keeping the crowd engaged enough to just continuously hit them with joke after joke after joke? How's that feeling knowing like, dang, I'm really killing it, bro?
Yeah. You know what? It was, I wasn't used to that many laughs. It was like 600 students in this auditorium. That's where my comedy career started. And it was roars. And my closing joke, I've been trying to remember the closing joke, but it was about a lunch lady, and her name was Miss Pat, and she didn't have any teeth. And I had a joke where it ended where she was like, I found out, it was like, I can't remember. I wish I could remember the joke, but the joke murdered, and the crowd went crazy. I won it. And so what happened, this is where this is why the career started, because Joe Torre was in the crowd. He's alumni from Lincoln U. Yeah, Joe Torre. So this was homecoming week. And in 2 days, there was going to be the actual comedy show. Him, this dude named Steve Brown, a couple other comics, Arvin Mitchell, and who else? Anyways, but so I remember poking fun at him while I was on stage. And so after I won it, I came out into the crowd, and he was like, "You think you funny, nigga, huh? You think you funny?" Yeah, it's him. Oh, yeah. And that's what the joke I made. I had a brush, and I threw the brush. That's what it was. Like Tupac threw his brush. So he was like, "You think you funny, huh, bro? Okay, I want you to come to the show this weekend. You gonna get on stage with the big boys." And I got on stage and I did more jokes. And he was like, "You funny, nigga. You funny." Yeah. So he was like, "Listen, I want you to go. Here's some numbers." Him and this guy Arvin Mitchell, both from St. Louis. It was like, "Man, we're gonna refer you to some clubs." And he said, "Just go. And here's the names and numbers." And so they would have open mics, and then they would have a headliner on Wednesdays and Thursdays. One was called Two Brothers. The other one was, it was like, I can't remember the name of the club, but these were like basically 30 and up clubs. It's almost like if somebody did comedy at Body Works or something like that. So mind you, I'm 20 years old, 21 years old, and I'm showing up confident. Yeah. And I get there and I'm looking, and it's Def Comedy Jam stars. I'm like, whoa. And I go up first. And I didn't cuss at the time. I never cursed. So I get up there and I'm saying my jokes, and the crowd was chuckling. And I was like, this is my first time. I remember recording it on a camcorder, like an old tape camcorder. And it was okay until I got off stage. And then the Def Comedy Jam, like this dude named Will Sylvance, and I can't remember the other name, and dude Hamburger. He used to be like, Hamburger. They got up there and murdered. And I was like, oh, that's how I'm supposed to do comedy. I had no clue, because I didn't understand the body language and reading the crowd, like getting to a show and saying, oh, this is a nigga crowd. I gotta go with them and hit that nigga with the cowboy hat on and hit that chick over there with the big old titties. You know, you gotta start the show off owning the crowd. I just went up there and did jokes formally and stuff like that compared to what those guys were doing. And
so it sounds like, man, it's truly an art form. You know, it's truly an art form. Like, I mean, you can't just think that you're just gonna get up on stage and start telling jokes just because you got a little bit of funny to you. It's a whole art form to it. Wow.
And I learned the art form by just being thrown in the deep end, because I was always confident. Like, I just go in the room like, all right, this is what I do. I got my bits ready. But when I went up there confident as ever, like I've been on this stage plenty of times before, and the crowd was chuckling, but it wasn't compared to them. Like, they in there stomping, black people, they hit each other, smacking each other. Yeah. So I learned a huge lesson. So I reprogrammed my way of performing, and I said, I got to be more aggressive. I need to speak louder. I need to be up in their faces and do this. And I worked on that. And then, and slowly but surely, I started to learn how to do it from it was freestyle. It wasn't like I tell people, in my 20 years of comedy, I've only done one open mic, and that was in year 16. And it was on an accident. I've never been that guy, because when you start in stand-up, people start doing open mics and stuff. So they'll get on stage for 2 minutes and these club owners just dog you out. You got to bring 5 friends and pay $10 to get on. Like, that's how rough starting in comedy is. You got to work your way up. And for me, I'm getting co-signed by people who are on Def Comedy Jam and Comic View at the time. And those were notable shows. And then they like, hey man, I like you. When I come to your city, I want you to open up for me. And I'm being put up. And then people are like, who's this dude? Right. You know what I'm saying? So mind you, I'm making all this noise in St. Louis. Never been to Kansas City performing stand-up for my first few years of doing comedy. So then I graduate. First couple years. And then, before I graduated, I met Cat Williams in 2004. And this was the right after Friday After Next Cat Williams. He just started popping.
Had got hot, yeah. So he was on fire then.
He was, but he wasn't.
Yeah, he wasn't like took off like he had.
Okay.
Yeah. Like.
Yeah.
But he was still though Cat. He
right.
Was still
he
Cat.
Was Cat, but he wasn't like the Cat where it was the stand-up Cat where he just like.
Oh, okay, just kind of took over.
Yeah, it was just him at that time that was just killing.
Yep. And that's where when I met him, and it was a club, it was probably like 100 people in there. He's in a coat closet, like it was like a utility closet. And that's where he was just chilling. And I'm like, hey man, I'm a comedian. I've been doing comedy a little bit. He's like, you want to perform? Well, cool. I got up, performed. We exchanged information. He comes to Kansas City and does Starlight Theater. That was my first time doing comedy in Kansas City. Mind you, you got Stanford's, you got all these other clubs that these comics have to do open mics for years. Right. And then here comes Bobby Coleman, who Kansas City really don't know, because again, I bounced around everywhere. So nobody, like when I go out places, I rarely know people other than post-comedy, not high school, middle school. I can hang out with friends and stuff. And they be like, oh man, it's my dude from school. I'm like, I don't know nobody. Because I didn't have friends like that. So Kansas City started to see me and see who I am in 2006, around that time. Okay. And then that was the who's this guy? And then I started to perform with him, Cat. Then I was performing with Kevin Hart. So Kevin Hart's very first booked weekend at an actual club was the Kansas City Improv. Huh. Very first, yep. Is that right? Yeah, very first. So he never had a weekend anywhere until me and my boy Just Jay, rest in peace Jay, he got him, we like got cool with him, and he got him to be able to work at the Improv. So when he was there, wasn't nobody at his shows. And then Grown Little Man came out and the dude took off. So he hit us up, hey man, I'm doing this show at this college, or I'm doing a show here, can y'all come? And we hit the road, Chicago, whatever. Me and Judge Jay sleeping in hotel room, head foot on the same bed, you know what I'm saying? Just to go get $500-600, but it was a journey, and it was a beautiful journey, but it was a lot to, like it was so fast, I didn't realize that the way I came up in the game was kind of out of place. You know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah, but God's got a plan for us all, and sometimes it ain't traditional, it happens the way it's supposed to happen. One question I was going to ask is, who was the most enjoyable person to work with? Not that they all weren't enjoyable experiences, but if you was like, man, if I get a chance to work with that person again, I would love to work with them.
The most enjoyable, man. All right. The most enjoyable, I would probably say, is Cat Williams was like a rock star. Like when you hung out with him, it was like you were everywhere. You was rolling in limos and Sprinter buses, and he was showing up like a rock star. When I worked with Kevin Hart, he wasn't quite the comedic rock star, you know what I'm saying? So he was a cool guy, fun. Hanging out with Kev was fun, but Cat Williams was probably the most like just crazy, man. Yeah. And he's a cool dude too.
And I was gonna say that, man. If it's one of them, I would love to meet. I would love to meet Nick Cannon. I would also love to meet Cat Williams. Cat Williams seems like he's kind of down to earth. You know what I mean? He sounds ultra intelligent. I know he does a little pimp bit or whatnot, but if you ever seen his interviews, man, Cat is very highly intelligent. He comes off that way. He comes off very highly intelligent, brother, whatnot. We talked a little bit about your comedic career and kind of how that all got started. So what inspired acting? So where'd that come into play? I know a lot of comedians kind of take that route after a while. So when did that get started for you?
Comedy and acting kind of go together because let's say if you are a comedian, when a writer or director or producer sees you, they say, that personality, I'm writing that into my script.
Okay.
So they know already what they're getting. They don't say, hey, you funny online, on stage, I want you to come in here and be a serial killer. No, they don't. You know what I'm saying? They say, hey, who you are, like when you see Mike Epps, he was discovered on stage when Ice Cube was in the crowd, and he said, I like that dude. That's gonna be Day-Day. And that's who they put in there. So it's plug and play. But for me, I was always a writer. My thing was writing. Loved to write, man, and just write little books. I remember writing books in middle school, and I drew and paint.
So your first writing, you wrote a book in middle school?
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't like a published book.
Right.
It was a full, because I was able to draw. So I would do comic books and just, just novels, like little novels. And kids in school would pay me to write books for them, tell me a story, and then I would draw and stuff like that. And then I would fold it and it'll be like.
So tell us a little bit about your current project, Vengeful. A little bit about how that got started and what the motivation behind all that.
Yeah, so when I started writing Vengeful in 2014, and it was just one day watching TV, and I saw the news come on, and they were talking about a guy who got released from prison after serving 24 years. And I remember sitting there like, man, if that was me, I'd get out, I'm killing everybody. I'm killing the judge, the prosecutor, the witnesses, my auntie, everybody got to go, And I wrote it, and it was initially called like Vengeance or something. I'm gonna show y'all on my phone, like the date is still there. And over the years, I just would see it over and over and over, and it just so happened we're in Missouri, and that's the most in the country. It happens a ton. So I like I said, I got off stage, and then I finished the script. I did the writing, but I typed it. But I finished it. And so I was working with a guy, his name is Chuck Brown. He's a director here. He did a film, Shut Down and stuff like that. And he hit me up during the pandemic, like, hey man, I'm working on this film. It's about the pandemic. I need you to come through and do a role for me. I'm like, cool. So I did it. We wrapped the film, whatever. And then I said, hey man, I got this idea for a film. I got the script done. He was like, all right, let me check it out. He read it, loved it. He was like, bet, let's, and he was actually going to work on another project. And it didn't happen, but mine was right there. So he was like, look, I want to be the director for your film. So that's where Chuck comes in. And then he got his crew together, and we did casting, we did location scouting all through the city and everything like that. And we have a phenomenal cast. Everybody is top tier actors. Like when I tell you, y'all gonna love these people, y'all gonna love the quality of it. We was talking earlier, I said, look, we're in the Tubi era right now, and Tubi has this stigma attached to it with bad, lighting and it'll be a scene where a dude be walking up, and then the camera cut to the dude, and then it'll cut back and the dude walking up again. You're like, did he just walk up again? Like, how this happen? This is my first film that I've EP'd, and I said I don't want my film to come off nothing like that. I'm going to create an industry film, a studio quality film. So when you look at it, it looks like it can be on the major networks, stuff like that. And we accomplished that completely through the whole film. The writing is good, it's gonna make sense. Ain't no random people like Tubi movies. And not to knock Tubi, those people, they doing their thing, but a lot of people are like, is it gonna be on Tubi? Is it gonna be on Tubi? Is it gonna be on Tubi? And I'm like, dang, y'all like them Tubi movies? So
that will stand there and just look at it all day.
Binge watch. I got friends that binge watch, and they told me, hey, you need to watch this movie on Tubi. It's in Day Out of Detroit and all this. And I'm like watching the movie, and then they did this scene, and I looked in the background. I'm at the gas station in the damn movie. I'm like, how? I ain't even been to Detroit. How am I at the gas station pumping gas? Hey man, Tubi a trip, man. Tubi a trip. But
that's Tubi though.
It's a lane for it because you get people who live real life, and they are happy that somebody's portraying their real life. So it's a lane for it. But I had a standard that I wanted to uphold, and I don't want people to pay their money to come see my film in this premiere and be like, man, I could have stayed home for that. No, you're gonna get a good storyline, and what happens in the film, and the ending and the twist, and is dope, man.
So when does it premiere? What's the date?
Friday, September 22nd at the Gym Theater, Kansas City, Missouri, the historic Gym Theater. So, I brought it on home.
That's gonna be what's up, man. Cause I know that the actors are cold because of the way they was acting in here. When we was doing some photos.
So he did the photo shoot, the artwork for it, and I had a vision, and you met most of the main cast.
And I was like, give me this look. People went right into character. Boom, boom. I'm like, whoa, bro, you look kind of scary. Like you gave that to Paul. But you did that like he went into character. They all went into character. So I already know. I was like,
how that got started and
this
gonna be
feels
legit.
like industry, like people that can really blow up.
So KC, come out and support.
For sure.
Come out and support next Friday, September 22nd.
Yes.
At the
Gym Theater.
Gym Theater. Come on out, KC, and support.
Absolutely.
So now we're gonna go into pretty much after comedy, after acting, now you become married. Yeah. How did y'all meet? Cause I see on social media now that y'all married, she do her little dance every time see every time she eats. So how did y'all end up meeting, and then knowing like, dang, this girl is the one?
And I'm gonna add a second layer onto that. And what were you looking for when you found her?
All right, so here's from the top. Nobody knows this. So from the top, I had divorced, and I was actually going through a divorce. So, like, I don't know, I just felt that I just needed to leave, right? So I was in Oregon and hiking and just taking in life, because, you go through a lot. Divorce is rough, and, as men, when we divorce, when we do the math, our math has a minus sign. When women divorce, it's a plus sign. If you think about it,
And that's why a lot of brothers are reluctant to get married to this day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, and women don't understand that, but it's a innate fear that we have when it comes to commitment, because you're going to lose something. And it's hard for I don't know many men that's left a relationship where they left unscathed. His social circle was destroyed probably by that woman he was with, because they have to be the victims and say certain things. And I went through that, and I never wanted to fight back or anything. I lost my home. I lost everything. I left with my car. I had a home we bought and things like that, and furniture, everything. And I left that marriage with a car and 2 bags of clothes. And I had to start my life over. So I went off and I went to the mountains. And if people kind of follow my story, never hinted about my situation. I just lived life, prayed, and just said, you know what? Be grateful for what I've had and what's to come. And so I was hiking and posting mountains and waterfalls and just living my life. And then I was still doing shows. People would book me. So I got booked to do a show in Jacksonville, Florida. And that's where my current wife was living at the time. So I had been there before and she came to the show, but I'd never seen her either time. So I did a show with DC Young Fly. She was there, and then she tagged me in the video, and she had came here. And then I was like, oh, okay. And then I followed her back. Still didn't know who she was. And then I came to Jacksonville, and she told me that she noticed when I was there the second time I didn't have my ring on. So, you know, then she followed me on like IG at the time. So I'm back in Oregon, and then I would see her post because she would fly from Florida to San Diego and things like that. And I was like, she's an interesting person. She smiles, she laughs. Like, men are attracted to personality that we're visual just like anybody else. You want the booty and all that stuff, but what keeps you in the room and your access key to keep you there is how you're treated and your personality. And I could see her personality through just social media. And I was like, dang, she seemed like a dope person. And she seemed like she is a spontaneous person that is truly spontaneous. You know, women be like, I'm spontaneous, like walks in the park, then you meet them, take them on a walk in the park, and they call you broke. Like, that's just what you wanted. You know, so this is what happened. So I'm on my way home. This is my kids' weekend, so I would come home every 2 weeks. And I'm living in a hotel. So I hit her up I'm on the plane and we're getting ready to take off. And she's like, on my way home, whatever. And I was like, I'm on my way home too. So I'm like, let me shoot my shot. So I messaged her, hey, I'm on my way to Kansas City. Mind you, we have never had a conversation before. You know, it'd be cool to meet up with you. And I had to look at the message, but she always make it about me being her, jumping in her DMs. You know, you gotta be cute and stuff like that. So the plane getting ready to take off, and I'm like, and I just send it. And I'm nervous because during that time, you know, it was a lot of women who would like bust dudes out for just being, because men are the hunters, the approachers. Nothing wrong with seeing, hey, I'm interested. Yeah. But why bust somebody out for his genuine interest? So I was in fear of that. So the plane's taking off, you know, once it goes up, your service is gone. Yeah. So I'm like, oh man. So I'm nervous. I got boo-boo. I'm like, oh man, let me off this plane. So I get the internet service comes on and I check it and she's like, that would be nice or whatever. And I'm like, cool. So we ended up meeting at 54th Street Bar and Grill. Simplest place. Now, in social media standards, that's like broke boy energy. You know what I'm saying? But it worked. She was like, hey, I got 30 minutes to spare because it was her mom's 60th birthday. So she came and we met, we talked, and it was like that 30 minutes felt like 2 hours. And it was so quick. Boom, boom, boom. It wasn't even 30 minutes, probably 20 plus minutes. And I was like, wow, okay. She seemed cool. And then we were talking a lot. And then I didn't see her anymore until, and after that weekend, I go back to Oregon. And then I said, hey, she said she's going to San Diego because her daughter, Key, is giving birth. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I was like, well, I can come down and meet you. I can come to LA, you know, it's a couple hour drive up from San Diego. So she was like, bet. So the labor wasn't happening quick enough. And, you know, she didn't know if she was gonna make it. And I flew down from Portland to LA. We hung out that weekend, and I ain't been able to get rid of her since. So yeah, man. So yeah, it was and we had fun. So when people see my relationship on social media, I don't really talk about it. My life is through pictures. Like I've had my reign of terror on social media. People know me. I've been a hot mess. Like I was, we people talk about Kevin Samuels. Like I was him, the pre-Kevin Samuels. Like I was a tough dude in relationships. I was giving the business, because it is what I'm a comedian. I'm gonna have fun, but you see things on social media, and you always want to give your perspective because you got other people saying what men like and they're not men, or vice versa with women. And it's like, no, I'm gonna give my perspective and make these statements. And then my page started to transform. This was the beginning of our relationship. My page started to transform more into that because that's what the people and fans were wanting. And I really didn't like it. So if people don't realize, after January of 2022, I just stopped posting. And I had to recreate who Bobby J is. Okay. So I went from this guy who people looked at for relationship advice and things like that, and I said, I have to live it. I have to be the example, because what is one, like when anything, it can be relationships, it can be in regards to money. People say, how do you qualify to talk about that when you broke, or when you single, or you failed at this or that? So I didn't want to be that guy who gave the male perspective anymore, from relationships and things like that, because I felt that I've said enough. And then I just said, you know what, let me be a better person. Let me be a person who inspires. So with me and my wife, well, we ended up like a year in, we got engaged, and then we were going to get married during COVID. Well, the plan was, but then COVID happened, and then stuff like that. So it kind of threw a wrench in it. And then we flew to San Diego with like 4 or 5 friends and just did an outdoor wedding on the beach. And
was Gabe there? Yeah. He was toe up.
Gabe be toe up. Hey, my boy Gabe. Hey.
Slumped out like,
yeah. 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 But Gabe, that's my boy. He's always the 3rd, 5th, or 7th wheel, because he's always.
Everybody say that, like, why are you always there?
Yeah. But that's like, Gabe is like my brother. Like, Gabe is 10 years younger than me. But I've been knowing Gabe, for a long time. And we've just done a lot together. And he's like a younger guy who I would notice him, like, he'd ask me a lot of questions about things, and he's just bouncing through life. And I was always there for him. And I didn't have many friends, like personal friends. So me and him just got cool. So in my prior marriage, he just randomly we going on this trip, man. I'm gonna go. And then it just became a thing. Yeah. So it was always Gabe. And then girls would get in my inbox like, who your friend? And I'm like, hey, you holler at him, Yeah. So Gabe doing his thing. But Gabe he's that guy who takes on any challenge. So if you look at my page and if you follow my stories when we go on trips, if you see Gabe 1 minute, in the next hour he's gonna be laid in traffic and vomit somewhere because he tries to outdrink me. Yeah. I'm 250 pounds. Like, Gabe, you about 138.
Yeah.
And we'll go shot for shot, and we'll make real money bets. Like,
that dude is a competitor, dog. He used to do the same thing basketball. You want to bet money? I used to be like, bro, you're not better than me, bro. But he, in his mind, but he was a dog too. So So in that space, how, of course, in marriage, how did that change your mindset from, of course, being divorced into, of course, I'm not saying your current marriage doesn't have trial, error, everything like that, but how did it change your mindset from being in a dark place to then finding somebody that's like, dang, you know what I'm saying? Like, whatever I went through, it's for this moment.
So I felt like in my previous marriage, it didn't deter me from saying, you know what, let me do this again, because I felt like I didn't get to be who I should be as a husband. And I said, I can do that for somebody. It's still in me. You know, and with what happened with us, with my prior marriage, it wasn't necessarily us. It was other things surrounding our marriage that caused it to fail. So I had that in me, and I said, I still deserve, because I am mentally, I'm like I'm always like that daddy, husband, that protector and provider. So with her, she had been through some things too. And when we got together, it was like it worked. We clicked and nothing was said. There was no stipulations or no prerequisites for who I need to be and to be with her and vice versa. We just got together and we just started doing things, and it's just like, damn, yeah, it was like, this is where we belong, you know? So I knew that it was in me to give to her and to create this world that we have. And then, you know, even now, like, our goal was to travel the world every month.
Okay.
So every single month we leave the country.
Well, I tell you this. Okay, so this will kind of bleed over into my question I wanted to ask you. So one place I think you should stay away from is Vegas, because Usher got a residency out there, and so my question is, so your wife. And you, because you in the who's who crowd, so you know, you could be in one of these situations one day, right? Your wife comes to you and she has a dress. Matter of fact, no, she don't even tell you. You just happen to look up and you happen to see on social media she got the dress on, her behind is out, she's up on stage with Usher. How do you respond? What's your reaction?
So we actually saw Usher a couple months ago. Yeah, we went. Now,
Usher out here breaking them home.
Yeah.
Stay away from Usher.
Hey, look, Usher did his thing, and I understand when anybody, if anybody's never been to the show, they won't really get it. But when you see this dude, me and Usher the same exact age, right? Okay. And this dude still got it. Like, whoa, like you looking at him like Chris Brown, and like you look at him like this dude got a long time left in him, and then he's still a sex symbol. He's still ripped and all this. And you know, my lady, she was dancing and stuff, and I'm kind of looking at her like I'm gonna get that toothpick like Ike Turner, just twirl that mug like,
right.
But to answer your question, I am an old school man. I really believe that you leave the home and you represent your home. And I don't care what it is. My wife will not leave out with pasties on and complete see-through or ass out or nothing like that. And she's not the type of person that'll carry herself like that. Now I know the ratchet delegation who doesn't have a relationship to represent will see it Keke Palmer's way or think that it's cool. Now, in terms of what actually happened when she was twerking and dancing, if he came to our area, because he was walking around in the crowd during one of the songs, I'd be okay with it.
Yeah. Now in that situation, like I always said, if somebody was to sing I would not take that moment of like, this is a once in a lifetime thing. But to go up there, like now we got an issue, because I'm with you. I said the same thing as being married. The way you leave your house, that people look at us. You know what I'm saying? You leave as a team. So the way that they look at you, if you leave the house like that, they're going to think they got an opportunity with you. And they think that there's some flaws within our relationship that there's a hole in their relationship that I can slide into. You know what I'm saying? So that's a great question.
You know, and one thing and I think we talked about this too, man, but you know, every decision that we make, if you're attached to something, your children, your family, you know, if I was the CEO of a company, I couldn't walk out. If I go and get into a bar fight or something like that, that's going to just deter the reputation of that company. You know what I mean? And so I don't think a lot of times, you know, when you are carrying yourself like that, you don't understand the repercussions. Like, you know, I was listening to these celebrities, and they were talking about how their kids get teased at school for something one of them had did out in public or something like that, and then the kids gotta, you know, deal with the backlash at school from their peers and stuff like that. And so you gotta keep those things in mind. You know, I'm going out here. I mean, yeah. And that's another thing. I hear, you know, oh, you know, she's a mom, you shouldn't criticize. Why can't we hold mothers to a higher standard? How come they can't be as sacred as like pastors or ministers or whatever the case? Because, you know, I'm old school as well. You know, you grow up in my era, man, and like a mother, you know, you would do anything to protect your mom. I mean, she was a sacred. Your grandmother was a sacred.
Because as a kid, you look at them like that, like this is top of the line pedestal right here. Yeah. So I get that.
But nowadays it's like, you know, there's no sacredness to the woman and her being.
That's for like no.
I mean, we're in the hot girl era right now, you know. So we got Sexy Reds and Sukiana's leading the pack, and these are your faces of your. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so with Keke Palmer's situation, and she just had a baby, I always say, look at the flip side to it. Look at the other side of the tape. What if she was at home, just gave birth 2-3 months ago, and he's at a strip club and video come out and he's dancing on a girl or doing something? They'd be like, see, you at home with the baby and he out disrespecting. You see what I'm saying? They never look at it that way. And I don't think women want that responsibility anymore, because they have, it's still a duty. And when you're even in a relationship, it's still a duty. Relationship is a interview and an audition for engagement. And engagement is an interview and an audition process for marriage. So if you're not working, dropping gems. But these people, they want it to be more instant gratification now. They want to go from we just met to you buying her a $5,000 bag and then doing this. And it doesn't work that way, and they don't understand the process. Again, I'm old school, so I understand when I speak and I say these things, it rubs a lot of women the wrong way who are more modern day, because they didn't come up with that thinking. They mamas may have been married, but their mothers didn't give them the tools to go out and get their own. They said, no, this is my man, you get the F out of my house. So now they out here trying to figure it out, and they're trying to figure it out in the worst way. And for us, you gotta ask them, like, how's that working out for you?
Right.
If you look at the statistics, it's not working.
No, son, it ain't working.
Yeah.
So real quick, so we finna go to the next segment where it's only gonna take 5 minutes, and we'll be right back because we about to go.
So if you line up 10 or 5 women from today that could be 21, 40, 50, and 70, right? You line them up, and their wants and desires in men will change. Great-great-grandma, different. Great-grandma, grandma, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. They're all different in how they function in the home with the man, their expectations. If you line up you, your son, your dad, your great-grandfather, great-great-grandfather, we still asking for the same thing from women. We're not asking for anything different. There isn't a new movement. Women's wants and desires change based on the song of the summer from Keisha Cole or Michelle, you know what I'm saying? Like K. Michelle or something, or Summer Walker, and then it changes, and we're trying to keep up. And we're like, yo, just scale it back. We're not asking you, like even the whole submissive topic, women still don't understand what submissive means. They were never taught what submissive means. If you just yell the word submissive in a baby shower, it's like throwing a grenade in there. You know what I'm saying? They think it means shut up, sit down, give me your paycheck, listen to me. It don't mean that. It's the same as like we were talking about representing your relationship and being like, I believe in gender roles and not necessarily demands or anything, but my wife loves to cook. My wife loves to make her man a plate. I love to take out the trash. I love to open the door for my wife. My wife is always going to be my passenger princess. It's always going to be these things that me as a man, we do, and it's automatically in me. So as we get further and further from it, guess what the next generation is going to look like? So when women complain about these men are soft, this and this, who did it? It wasn't their daddies. Yeah. Ain't no man teaching your son to be soft. Men still punch their sons in the chest. But if you punch them in the chest, who runs to save them?
Boy, you talking. And I agree 1,000%. Like I tell my wife, I just love it when you bring me my plate. It's not a demand or not. I don't tell her to do it. It's just something about it where the food, you just get happy like, thank you. Like it's not a dominant, submission doesn't mean a dominant person. It's just like if I make a big decision in the home and I say, hey honey, what you think about this decision? You know, I'm letting you know that there's a decision to be made. What do you think about it? Here's your input, your time to put in on this input. So lastly, I do have the last decision, because I am the leader of this family. Just like you said before, if there's a robber at the door, I'm going to be the first one to go with it. You stand behind me because I need you to take care of the kids, make sure nothing happens. That is my job as a leader, as the lion of a pack, because there can't be two alpha males like we speak.
And what you just said was you're submitting, but you're submitting in a different way. Y'all submitting to each other. Just like you say, you open up the door and you make sure that she's taking care of that. That's submission. Absolutely. You know, we're submitting to each other, but we both have roles in order to get this team task accomplished. There you go.
And it's called team. You become one. You're a team, and a lot of people are not team players. So when you display that you're not a team player, again, you ask them, how's that working out for you? Because you guarantee you ain't got nobody. You're on Tinder and swiping right and left. So again, and not to drag it on, but again, it makes it easy when you're a team. And like my wife, I probably wash dishes more than my wife. Ain't because she don't want to, because she just cooked me a bomb meal, and she's sitting there and I'm just washing them and we talking. We got company over, we have house shindigs, people coming over, and I don't mind washing dishes. We got a dishwasher, I don't use that. I just like to wash the dishes, you know what I'm saying? We're compatible. And that's the definition of compatibility, is when you see those people working in unison and as a team. And a lot of people don't have that in them. They like, I'm special, you should do for me. And it ain't working. It's just not working. So man,
dang, that's powerful. But you know what? And this segment was supposed to be going red. But bro, we done dropped so many gems, and you done dropped so many gems. I just wanted to say, Shadana is my wife's cousin. So I've always known Shadana. And she's always just like Shadana. Well, that's Bobby's wife. That's his queen. But she's always been a dope person, and to see y'all now, like the genuine happy they are. Now, like I said, I could be looking at this through social media, or whether we go out to eat or anything like that. I'm not saying that there's no issues. There's, you know what I'm saying? But y'all look just happy, and when I see y'all glow. Like every time when I see you, bro, what's happening? And she like, how y'all doing? Like just on and on about books, and you see the vacation and stuff like that, bro. That is so special to see, because it's encouraging other people to be like, and I've been married for 10 years, going on 11 years, but it's just dope to see like, dang, bro, that is fire right there. And I just want to applaud y'all. Keep going, man. And that is so dope to me.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. We want to see love, man. To be honest, at the end of the day, we advocating for love. A lot of people, some things men say it might sting them, but you know, we know some people want to kill the messenger. It's the tone or whatever. Fuck all that. That has nothing to do with your happiness in your life. It's up to you. Yeah. At the end of the day, I could say whatever, but are you applying yourself? Are you being this person? Don't just be in the soft girl era. Be a soft girl. Be that person for good. Era is temporary. You know what I'm saying? Who are you and what can you bring to the table? We're not asking for your money. We're not asking for all this. we're asking how can we be at peace together, and a lot of the times, again, some people are fighting with this, and I can't blame them. Look at what their examples are. Look at what they got to look up to. So, like I said, my wife, we still have fun. We date. We run a business together, so we're around each other all day, but we date. We actually go on silly little dates, and it'll be the smallest stuff. We'll go get ice cream. We'll go get Mexican food, and then the next day she'll be like, that was some good Mexican food. And I'm like, you want some more, don't you? She's like, let's go. And we'll go again the next day. You know what I'm saying?
And then she start doing that dance that went viral.
I know that she would dance when she get her food, and it's automatic.
Bro, you gotta see the video. He made like a whole mix of every time she get her food, she just start getting happy, bro. That's just crazy to me that you even noticed that.
Yeah. So real quick, and I know we're supposed to be going red, but what happened is she would record me every time I would go to the airport and leave her, and she'd be sad or whatever. So she kept recording it. Then she put them together, and she was like, this is him leaving me, y'all, just being funny. And it was me walking with my backpack and my luggage going back to the airport when she dropped me off. And when I go see her, and then she dropped me off. So I would notice she would dance. Soon the appetizer come out, she'd be doing this little rocking, and she'll hum too. I don't even know what the song is. And I got the audio where it's like audio, like with her humming and stuff. And so I would do it, and we'd be talking, and I'd see the food coming, and then I'd start recording. And I did that over and over because she got me, and I'm like, I'm gonna get her. And then I said, when she posted, I said, I'm gonna get her. So I had like 8 situations where we were eating, and I put them together, and I said, dang, this looks like a love story in a sense. So then I put love music, like some R&B type instrumental on it, and I put it out, and it went crazy. It was like celebs on there and everybody. So when they see her out, people know her. Because we be around celebrities and stuff, so she gets to have access to people, and they remember her. Oh, soon they see her, they'll move me out the way. We love your wife. Y'all be kicking it, you know what I'm saying? We love her. And they don't even know her from a can of paint, but they recognize her and they see her in my pictures and videos. So, but yeah, she's automatic. Soon she gets some food, even if she's opening up like some French fries from McDonald's, she just in her chair, she just dancing, and she hums like, So yeah, man, it's funny, man. Yeah.
So in this segment of Going Red, what I wanted to ask, and it's not a hard question, but what made you change? At what point in your life did something happen to where you was like, bro, I need to become more. I'm made more in this lifetime. Like, was it ever a time where you was down in life and something clicked, and next thing you know, once you made that change, life started looking up?
So man, that's a deep one, really, because it was some personal things in my life where I didn't know which direction I wanted to go. I was at forks in the road. I was in corporate America. And then I was doing comedy. And I would literally be this guy who just was booked in Hawaii. And then on Monday, I'm clocking in at a job, and nobody around me knew. And I'm like, what has my life become? What do I need to do? And comedy wasn't all the way popping, but corporate America was, and I felt first time in my life I'm confined. I got my college degree. I got my daughter just born. What am I gonna do? And I had to apply myself because, I had somebody I was responsible for now, and it was definitely my daughter. That's my road dog, and it snapped in my head, and I was like, yo, I really gotta figure this thing out. And I had to figure out parenting. I had to figure out balance with my career. I had to figure out a lot of things. My family, I have family members that are, into drugs still to this day, things like that. And I had to be all of this and still make other people laugh at the end of the day. So when I hit that stage, all that melted off of me. And then when I get off, it came back. And that was my safe space up there. You know what I'm saying? So I go through a lot. Like when Kevin Hart said "Laugh at My Pain," I think that was the title that I think every comedian, if you ever ask them, what is a comedian's stand-up title that you wish you could have had? And that would be it. This comedy sparked from pain. Everything that I think I have to see the good in it and make it funny. And I thank God for that, because I think that saved my life. You know what I'm saying? Because of what I've been through my life. And this, go on, but point is, I've been through so much and overcame it and found a way each time. And then when I finally, it paid off for me, and I was like, thank you, Lord, And even through that, it was still a ton of things that was going through, but I just stayed focused, man, and it's a lot. Yeah,
and that's crazy to even think now, because you go to the comedy clubs a lot, and you hear, we went a couple of times, and people that make you laugh so much, like you said, can go off, and they just have so much pain.
I speak the truth when I step in the room. Don't need an excuse. Know how